Mercy Me is coming to Pittsburgh, the Together Again tour with Mercy Me, Crowder, and special guest Andrew Ripp, Thursday, October 5th. Bring your family and friends to the PPG Paints Arena in Pittsburgh for Mercy Me, Crowder, and Andrew Ripp live in concert. 3 multiple award-winning artists on one stage for one night. Let your spirit soar, your heart sing, and your faith ignite. Mark your calendars for Thursday, October 5th. Get your tickets now at mercyme.org.
Hey everyone, and welcome to Business Boutique. I'm Christy, Wright, and today we are diving into our series, 5 Ways to Be True to You. Today is part 1. Your challenge today is to be willing to experiment. Let's talk about what that means. Well, if you're going to live a life true to you, then you've got to be willing to try some things. Sometimes we don't know what we want or don't want, what we like or don't like, what should be in our life and what shouldn't. You know the best way to figure that out? Try some stuff. Just experiment. Be willing to try and see if that fits for you. It's just like trying on clothes. You go shopping, back when we used to go shopping all the time in real stores, and you go into a dressing room and you try on some clothes. There might be something that on the hanger, you're like, that is so cute. And you put it on, you're like, oh no, that waistline is all wrong. Or, oh, I don't like how that makes my legs look. Or, oh, that's just not flattering. Or just not my style. So you don't buy it. You don't commit to it. But you are willing to try it on. There might be something else where you go in a store and you know the nice person working there is like, oh my gosh, this will look so good on you. And you look at it, you're like, that's not really me. But you go along with it, you try it on, you're like, I did not, okay. I didn't even know this. And you realize that something you didn't think you would like, you actually like and fits and looks good. And it is you. So when you experiment, whether it's with clothes or how you spend your time or how you use your gifts or talents or skills, what you make your home look like, what you make your business look like, when you're willing to experiment and try some stuff, you're going to find the things that are you. You're going to find the things that are true to you. I'll give you guys some examples. I have talked about this before, but I have gone through many different phases in my life. You know what these phases were? Experimenting, trying things out. I remember right after college, many of you have heard me talk about this, I decided to move to a 40-acre farm. Like when I say lived on a farm, please don't picture Joanna Gaines. That is not what was going on. I was in actual, real overalls, not trendy overalls, real overalls, like from Tractor Supply Company, mucking stalls, baling hay, fixing pipes that burst in the winter, breaking up ice in the trough when it was too cold and frozen for the horses, trying to get my goats that had wandered off back into the pen, covered in ticks, farm life, real farm life. I did it. It was hard. It was crazy. It was weird, but it was an experiment. It was a learning experiment. Now, do I want to live on a farm forever? No. I don't live there now. I don't see myself moving back. Turns out it's a lot of work and really, really hard. But you know what? It was an experiment. It was fun. Is this me? Am I like cowgirl? Is that me? It's not. It was a fun phase. It was an experiment. Around this time also, I decided that it would be fun to take Latin and ballroom dance lessons. So I tried that. I learned the cha-cha, the rumba, the swing, the foxtrot, the tango. I even competed in a Latin ballroom dance competition. I don't know where those pictures are, but no, you can't see them because I'm sure it is embarrassing. But you know what that was? An experiment. I also played soccer on an adult soccer league with all Guatemalan men that did not speak any English. And by the way, we were really stinking good. They were so good, and they always passed me the ball, and we always won, and my Spanish got really good during that time. That was an experiment. I have gone through phases in college and high school and in my 20s where I was thuggy and trying to be rapper girl with looking all tough. And I've gone through phases of farm girl where I've got cowgirl hats and overalls and is this me, is that me? All of those things were me trying to find myself, figure out what is true for me, what kind of life I want to lead, what kind of person I want to be. And while those are silly and certainly extreme examples, all of us have an opportunity to experiment. We have an opportunity to try some things to see if it works. Now, here's the challenge that I have for you. It's very tempting to think that you already know what is you and what's not. And some things you might be right. You might be right that is not right for you and you're not going to try it, and that's awesome. That's a boundary you set. Cool. Stick with it. There are other things that are labels you put on yourself, and then you live within them. I've talked about this before. Don't place labels and limitations on yourself and live within them. Be willing to push the boundary. Be willing to break outside of the box that you put yourself in, to try some stuff, to expand your world. Maybe some of these things over that line, outside of that box, are true to you. They're in this wonderful, bigger, more fun, more awesome life that God has for you, but you're never willing to go there or live it or experience it because you live in this box that you've put yourself in, within this limitation you've set for yourself. You know, I had a really cool conversation with my good friend, Emily Lay, and we were on stage at Business Boutique last year, and I was asking her all about her brand and how she built this brand. It's a brand that is beautiful, that I love and follow and inspires me in many ways. And she was talking about how their brand really got good when she brought in an outside person. See, she had seen her brand for years and, okay, these are the colors, this is how we do things, this is the style guide, but she was so deep in it, she couldn't see anything beyond that. Well, they brought in this outside person that kind of spoke into it and really challenged them to push the boundaries, and it made her uncomfortable at first, but that's when it got really good. She was like, oh, wow, that is us. This is possible. This is true to who we are and what we want to do. And I related it to a similar example going into book tour. Again, this was only the second time this ever happened, but they brought in a stylist to help me, and she brought all these clothes. This is a different stylist. She brought all these clothes that were really like fun and edgy and funky. She brought some heels, y'all, that were rainbow tweed pumps with gold glitter stiletto heels. These are the kind of shoes that you would see on the shelf at a store and go, those are so gaudy. Like, who would buy those? Who would wear those? And I thought that when I saw them, I was like, this isn't going to make the cut. But I was like, sure, being polite, I'll try them on. We'll go through the routine. I put them on. I was like, I was made for these heels. I didn't even know. I was made for these. These heels were made for me. I was made for them. I am a person that wears these heels. They were magical, and they're still to this day some of my favorite heels. But that set me on a path that now fun heels are my thing. You know that if you have seen me for any amount of time. I love fun heels. I love different, weird, tie-dye, floral, colorful, sequin. I love it. It all started with those magical, gaudy, gold, glitter, heeled heels. It all started that day because I pushed the envelope. I experimented with something outside of the box I put myself in, the safe, nude, matte pumps I was used to wearing. Now, of course, we're using an example of clothes here, but what is that in your life? What are the things that you tell yourself, I'm not a fun mom, I'm not a business person, I'm not athletic, I'm not a runner. You've got all these labels that you tell yourself, and then you live within them, but you don't have to. Be willing to experiment. Be willing to go for a run, put on some crazy heels, launch a business idea, do something really fun and weird with your kids, and guess what? You might just surprise yourself. You might already be that person. She's in there. She's just buried beneath expectations of everyone else. So be willing to experiment. Be willing to try some stuff. When you do, you might just find that the life that God has for you, the life that is already in you, is bigger and more fun and more amazing than you can imagine. And that is a life that is true to you. You just don't know it yet. So I've got another journal question for you. I want you to write down, what are some things in your life that you'd like to try? What are some things or ideas that have been in the back of your mind? You felt a little too silly to talk to them or tell anyone about them. Maybe write them down, maybe try them. What are some areas that you can experiment that's new and different, that might open your eyes and open your mind to a life that is bigger and better than the one you're currently experiencing, but it's still a life that's true to you? Just write those things down in your journal. I want you to write that down, think about it, pray about it, and then join me next time for part 2, where we are continuing to talk about 5 ways to be true to you.
Mercy Me is coming to Pittsburgh, the Together Again tour with Mercy Me, Crowder, and special guest Andrew Rip, Thursday, October 5th. Bring your family and friends to the PPG Paints Arena in Pittsburgh for Mercy Me, Crowder, and Andrew Ripp live in concert. 3 multiple award-winning artists on one stage for one night. Let your spirit soar, your heart sing, and your faith ignite. Mark your calendars for Thursday, October 5th. Get your tickets now at mercyme.org.